Yo, what's that then? It is I'm Solar Loon. Hello, independent game developer and local cool guy. nah, not cool guy, but just hi. I'm Solar Loon. Welcome to the stream. It's been a while since the last stream. Just stuff's been going on. Been wasn't able to stream last Friday. Something came up, but yeah, happy to be here. Happy to be alive. So yeah, let's get some music going and get right into the stream. Um, so something I wanted to do this stream. Hmm, hmm. You know what? Well, a couple things. Yeah, a couple things. Okay. So first things first. Yeah, a couple things. So there's just a lot going on. So Go got an update. Firstly, 1.26 was released on February the 10th, which is really cool. That opens up an entire world of opportunities, which is very, very cool, very, very interesting. Let me do something real quick before I forget. Hold on. Hold up. Give me just a second. Bird51 says hi. Yo, what up? Welcome to the stream. Okay, so it's fine for now. Fine enough for now. Okay, so. Cool. All right, so yeah, Go is on version 1.26. This is cool for a few reasons. You can see that there's some language changes, which is nice. This is a cool little improvement where instead of needing to make a variable before you make a pointer to it, you can just call new and pass an expression. So you can basically like make pointers out of results of functions, or maybe even well, I was gonna say like a ternary like if statement, but I don't think Go has those, so never mind. But that's cool. That's cool. That's just it makes things a little simpler. Does Go have ternary? Hold on. I don't think so. Yeah, this does not. It does not have. Yeah, it does not. I was like, once I started typing it, I was like, nah, brother. That's okay. So yeah, this is cool. This is cool. This is a cool little feature, cool little improvement. And then generic types, being able to refer themselves in their own type parameter list. That's nice. But performance improvements is pretty cool. A better garbage collector, which is very nice. CGO, the overhead for CGO has been reduced by approximately 30%. That's like humongous. That's crazy. Compiler can allocate the backend store for slices on the stack in more situations, which improves performance. So this is just drastic improvements, which is crazy. Like, I didn't feel like Go was slow. Even with the CGO cost that currently exists, or currently existed. Well, I guess that's kind of an oxymoron, right? Currently existed. But even then, I didn't really feel like it was too much of an issue. But to be like, oh yeah, so basically CGO function calls are now 30% faster, a little bit, essentially, is pretty crazy considering Tetra 3D is a 3D renderer and it heavily makes use of render calls, right? So Ebitingen should be faster, which means Tetra 3D should be faster, just by updating your Go version, which is fantastic. Better garbage collector is fantastic. I've never used this experimental garbage collector, so it says performance 10 to 40% reduction in garbage collection overhead in real world programs. Fantastic, excellent. Further improvements on the order of 10% in garbage collection overhead are expected when running on newer AMD 64 CPU platforms. So between 10 and 40 or 20 and 50. That's crazy, dude. Yeah, that's really good. That's just really good. So I'm excited. Just better is always better, right? It running faster, it having better either collecting garbage more quickly or collecting garbage more rarely. Needing to collect garbage more rarely is good. I guess it's just the performance. So basically, it just takes less time to garbage collect, which is also good. So yeah, Ebitingen doesn't use Ebitingen doesn't use Ebitingen doesn't use CGO directly. Or at least the ideal is that it doesn't, right? I think it does on Linux, but it doesn't on Windows. It uses PureGo. But I think it still has to call out to C to C. It still uses not CGO directly, but it still uses CGO. The method of calling C functions from Go still exists with PureGo. So basically, what I'm saying is, this should still apply. The 30% improvement, as far as I understand it, should still apply. It should still run faster. And so this is a huge deal for Tetra 3D, because if you can't batch your function calls, if Ebitingen can't batch the function calls because they're too different, you're rendering multiple 3D objects, not in the same sequence, not in a consistent sequence, or you're rendering different objects of different materials and it has to do batches and stuff like that. It has to, it can't batch these renders together. Then that 30% function call, you're going to feel it more and more. 30% overhead, you're going to feel it more and more. So being able to reduce that overhead, being able to reduce the amount of time it takes to call out to C from Go by 30%, that's crazy. That's just a really good improvement. Very exciting. Very exciting. All right, so this is kind of an interesting thing. I don't remember why this could be happening, why the character's not like aligning properly. Let me take a look. Feels like that shouldn't be an issue, but it clearly is. Okay, so it's -2. That's right. So then why is moving the model up? Moving it like that. That's very strange. I don't remember. Yeah, that's strange, right? Or did he always hover like that? No, I don't think so, right? Nah, he didn't hover like that. Also, I did some changes. Huh, hold on. I made like some big changes with the way that objects were searched for. So that might be part of it. Like the method to search for objects is different now. This just doesn't work in this case. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. Okay. So this is correct. But why is it offset? No, I didn't change Blender versions, so that shouldn't have altered anything. Why is... Okay. So then what's the... Is the player parented to something? This is interesting. Player dot... Yeah, that 013, that's this. Oh, I guess that's true. Okay, yeah. Model is... Right. Oh, yes. Okay. So then how do I want to handle this? Let me see. Hold on. Okay, yeah, so we substitute. Okay. So then this isn't working, apparently. Substitute. Yeah, I made some changes to basically the searching system. Yeah, okay, this is why. This is the problem. Okay, so then... Okay, that's... Yeah. This is because it's not... Okay, but we're searching the tree here. Oh, it's just, why did I... No, wait, okay, wait, models. Hold on, hold on. I think this is where I messed up. Okay, this is for this. This is... inodes. Oh, right, yeah, okay. There we go, and then... That's right, I was supposed to do this and I forgot. There we go. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. All right. So we can undo all of this roughly. Or no, we can't. Let's see. Is my bounding capsule not model player? Oh, yeah, this should just be my prop. There we go. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. Oh, sorry. There's something up with my display thing where it causes this weird, you know, like OBS recording my screen. It does not like this. I'm not sure why. It shouldn't be an issue, and it isn't normally, but I'm something it doesn't like something about recording full screen mode. It just does not like it. I don't know what it is. It seems like it's working now. Okay, so cool. All right, so I'll keep an eye on it. Seems fine. All right, so yeah, this is the same light volume little example. I just added these guys that walk around, just to kind of better, you know, visualize it, so you can see them, you know, meandering and going through the light and stuff, which is cool. Yeah, and you can turn it off with the one key now, so you get a much more clear. Well, I guess that was in the previous demo, but yeah, it's cool to be able to see, like, oh man, you know, this is what it would look like without any lighting whatsoever, any unusual, not unusual, but any dynamic lighting. This just really makes me want to make a game that looks like this. Like, I want to make a game that heavily uses this lighting system. It feels super cool, very very smooth, very solid. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. Really happy with it. Looks great in my opinion. Yeah, so I'm pretty pleased with this. I think it's very unique, very PS1, but very much so does not look like something that you would get from Unity or Godot or Unreal. Kind of feels like its own thing. Okay, there it is. It's doing it. It's doing that right now. I'm not sure what that is. I gotta figure that out, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Yeah, so it's just very cool. Looks really dynamic, really cool, really nice. Something I added, something I did is basically the way it works. You create a light volume. You set how big each cell in the volume is. But as you can see, if we do this, you know, the way it currently works, well, I guess we can actually visualize it like this. So yeah, it takes 1.17 seconds. So I guess there's a couple things I can talk about here. So firstly, the way that I was doing this previously was this. This is the function that basically loops through each light cell and runs a function to determine the color of the cell in the light volume, right? We were using a ray test to basically check upwards to see if there's sky, and if so, then the light cell should be light. Otherwise, it should be dark. Unless it's also hitting a light cube, in which case we use that. We can use that as a light source as well. Now, the thing that's kind of interesting about this is when we look at this ray test, this is the function that basically casts a ray. Previously, I made it so that you could test against a node filter, and filters were evaluated lazily. So basically, you could have a filter that, basically it's a series of functions that it iterates through a selection of nodes, and then, either returns the nodes that it that pass those filters, or it executes a function on those nodes. And it worked. I liked how flexible it was, but it was also not performant. Like I was like, wait a second. When I did try that system with this, it basically slowed down this by like maybe 33%. It was 1.45 seconds or so. So then I was like, oh wait, what if I just move this out of this function? And so that's, this is what I got. So then I'm like, well, why do I even have such a complicated system? Like, why, if we take a look at the old node filter code, it was pretty big. It was pretty complicated. Well, not complicated, but it's long, and it's like, I can do this a lot simpler. It's not that complicated of a concept. And so this is a much simpler concept, where basically we have a node collection set that represents a collection of nodes. It is a slice, but each node exists in the selection, or can exist in the selection only once. And you can basically specify search options. So you can be like, oh, I want to get any nodes that have this property. Searching from the root of the scene, or searching from some point in the scene through the hierarchy, I can search through the tree and basically return only certain objects that pass certain functions, or certain qualifications, certain filters. That reminds me to do a custom function. There we go. But yeah, this is a much simpler approach, something that's just a lot easier to deal with. We could do this a little more simply even as well. We'll do it like this. Yeah. Yeah, so this is just a simpler version of the core concept of filtering out nodes to, iterate through them or create a list from them or whatever. So it's just kind of like, well, we can make this simpler. We can make the, remove the complexity of what you can do to make it just a simpler code base, simpler API, easier to use, ideally, and just kind of go with that. So we can just do this now instead of this. There we go. We can add this here. yeah, it's so much simpler. Where it's just like, oh well, this could be much, much simpler, much easier. Yeah, so I'm happy with this. I think that is pretty good. Yeah. So right, let's say that you are creating a light volume, and so the light volume is 2 by 2 by 2. And you can see, whoops, you can see in this example, our light volume is pretty big. This might be, light volume for a full level, a full map. And so when we look at this light volume, it takes 1.17 seconds to check all of the light cells. We might say, well, we want it to be faster, but we still want dynamic lighting. So let's say we make the cells larger. Let's say instead of 2 by 2 by 2, they're 4 by 4 by 4. So now it only takes 158 milliseconds. So roughly 10 times faster. Much better. But as you can see, well, the lighting is not as aggressive, it's not as clear. So let's not blur it as much. So you can kind of see it a little better. Okay, so now we have lighting. You can see it's light and dark. But you see how the objects, the characters and things are much more, the fidelity isn't there. You might be like, well, what can we do about that? Because we do want fidelity, right? We want it to be smooth, but we also don't want to take so much time to calculate the lighting. Well, something you can do to kind of bridge the gap between these two possibilities is you can make the light volume whatever size you want initially, calculate lighting and all that, and then when you can also then resize the light volume, and in doing so, give yourself more fidelity without actually changing the data in the volume. So we can say light volume dot resize, same dimensions. But now we have a 2 by 2 by 2 cell size, or even 1 by 1 by 1. And then we can blur it more. So now we have basically a smoother, and you can see the lighting is much smoother here. We have a smoother grid. It's all like hard to see, but each of these pluses is a light volume cell. So we have a much smoother grid here, while still maintaining essentially the same light volume data, which is very nice. So you don't have to choose between fidelity and between fidelity and you don't have to choose between fidelity and I'm blanking between fidelity and time. You can basically say, okay, well, let's make it so that it renders it creates the light volume data quick, and then we can up the fidelity and smooth things out so it looks smoother, even if we didn't, we're not actually like going super deep. And you might notice like the lighting looks significantly different because the ground level here is dark, and that is because we're not checking basically if cells are below the map. When they cast upwards, they're going to hit the roof, and so it's going to be like, okay, well then I'm on the map essentially. I guess we can actually solve this very simply by just saying if up dot normal dot y is greater than 0, then blocked is true. There we go. So cells that are off the map below are cells that are off the map below are off map essentially. So now we have that a little bit of a better solution. Still not perfect, but not bad. Yeah. This is actually what it should be. I think that'll give us a little bit of a, that's a better solution. That looks better. So still, we're losing, we don't have the fidelity to draw this section, I guess, of the light here. That data is being lost essentially, but in the blur and stuff. But overall, that's very cool. I think it's very cool to have those kinds of options when it comes to lighting. So yeah, this is looking really good. It's shaping up extremely well. I'm very happy with it. It looks very nice. It feels super interesting to walk through this zone, especially with these other dudes walking around. Render time is 1 millisecond. Lighting frame time is a quarter of a millisecond. That's pretty dang good, man. I mean, that's I'm cooking, I think. 60 turns, 60 ticks per second, and 166 FPS. So that's going really well. I think it's pretty solid. Could batch these guys together so that they draw a little faster. But I think overall this is really rather good. I have a pretty strong CPU, unfortunately. I wish I had a weaker. I wish this was this good on a weak CPU, but unfortunately my CPU is pretty strong. It is a Ryzen 7 5800 XT 16 core. Ryzen 7 5800 XT is where's our hertz? Millihertz, megahertz, or gigahertz rather. It's 3.8 gigahertz base. So my engine is not multi-threaded. So if you could probably extrapolate this down and say that if you had a CPU that was only 3 gigahertz, then this would be closer to 1.8, 1.6, 1.5 milliseconds. Still not horrible. Not horrible. This would be closer to maybe 0.4, 0.5 millisecond for lighting. Pretty good. Still happy with this performance. Not bad. So most computers would be able to run this at like 120 FPS, which is pretty good if I enabled it. Assuming just a completely what's the word, basic line between gigahertz, current gigahertz and like my computer versus a weaker CPU, my CPU versus a weaker CPU, and just extrapolate it. So anyway, I'm happy with this. This is looking and feeling really good. It's really solid. Someone on YouTube asked if it's possible to like you do some kind of volumetric stuff, like volumetric lighting, maybe with shaders. Maybe you could use the grid for that purpose. It might be good to make it so that you can store additional data in the volumetric cells. I mean, in the light cells. Actually, now that I think about it, that probably would be a good idea. So I'm going to add just some data, so that if you want to, for example, store, I don't know, smoke level or I don't know, maybe you're doing some kind of Splatoon-like game and you want to store like fluid levels or something on the cells. Maybe you could do that. I don't know, but could be possible. So that's good to just add that little pointer for people to use if they want it. So I'm happy with this. I think this is pretty solid. These guys are all walking around, moving around, all that stuff. Okay, so I wanted to I was thinking about maybe working on another game. I haven't finished the last game, which is supposed to be super simple. But looking at this light volume stuff is like, man, I want to make like a 3D platformer or like, something with spaces that you explore like this. But I can't just make new games all the time. But the thing that's kind of annoying about making games is it's easy to make music for games and it's hard to make the games, right? Like I have so many songs for games and I was listening to it and I was like, man, that would go really good for, for a game, and this would go really good for a game. And, I haven't used this stuff for any games. I haven't made any games. So it's like, man, I have all this material for games, but it takes so much time and effort to actually make the game that I can't actually like I don't make it. So it's kind of it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Oh, dude, hold on. I'm gonna turn this up. Hold up. Oh, dude, that's so good, man. That's so good. Bro, it's just so good, bro. Just, I mean, like all of this music is just, it's made. It's made for. Like, is every one of these is like a bop, dude. Like, all right, maybe not everyone. I something I like doing is like saving the saving you know progressive versions of these tracks of well of all of my tracks, so I can like go back and be like, oh yeah, that is how it changed. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Yeah, man. I these songs. It's so good, dude. This song is so like it feels super. It has a very strong identity. Like this song, well, this entire soundtrack, this all these songs have a really strong identity. Like this one, it's just it feels like everything's gonna be okay, kind of a song. Do, 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 do. It's just like I don't know. I love it, man. I love this song, and so many songs from the soundtrack. I feel like are really good. So it's interesting. I think this song, I think this one specifically, you can kind of hear it sounds a little bit more rudimentary. And I think that this is one of the songs I made shortly after I started learning renoise. If I look at, let me see if I can find it here. I don't know if it actually will show up with the original date. Does it? Yeah, it looks like it might. Let me take a look here. Of an Alien Planet. The original An Alien Planet was made. Oh no, it just 2021 is the modified date. Yeah, I think that this might have been when I like copied it or backed it up or something. Because I think I started this before even COVID, like in 2019, 2018. I might have started this soundtrack, something like that. The original date is lost to time, but I'm pretty sure this is like when I first picked up Renoise, because you can hear it sounds a little basic. This one is more recent. Bird says it's been a long time since I've gotten to jam to a bunch of solar music projects like this. Yo, yeah, it has, man. Like it's been a while. It's been a while since I made a game that has my music in it. It's been a while since I've done a stream that has music where I make music. And chiptune music. Man, it's interesting because listening to this song, like I don't like this. Like it's not bad, but it's so repetitive and it's so like constantly present in all of these first four patterns. It's just interesting to be like, oh, I don't like that. Like yeah, at some point I was like, this is hype, like this is dope, and now I'm like, why do I have this repeating? Like it's so obviously kind of like, it sounds better once it gets to this point where it gives more room to breathe. Yeah, it's interesting to because I feel like as I've gotten better at making music, I like I like silence more and more in terms of like dropping elements out and then like they all come back in or just give me more space to things. It's just interesting. It's interesting to listen to stuff and be like, oh, this is how I would change it. This is how it would be better. This is even like my modern stuff that's not chiptune. I have been like leaning more so toward using gates and stuff to make it sound more choppy and like give room to stuff like this. Bird 51 says, what non-chiptune solar moon? This is new to me. Yeah, I don't well, this is a bootleg of another song. This isn't my song in its entirety. This is Hit Me Where It Hurts by Skrillex, Dylan Brady, Carolyn Polachek. There's a piece of the song that's this part. Well, yeah, so I make bootlegs every so often from stuff that I'm like a banger at that. Yo, thank you. My goal is to make bangers. So yeah, I make a lot of stuff. I make some stuff. This is no, I'm this isn't what I meant to do. I was supposed to be doing other stuff. Anyway, this is a little like something well, there's a guy called Kagi. Well, yeah, like an account on Blue Sky, Kagi, who makes like pieces of songs. Like, he like puts it out for people to sample. And I'm not. I just found it. I'm like, oh man, this is cool. I have to like get into it. Let me see. Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. I don't think I used it well, but I'm just like just finding it. I'm like, oh wow, let me see. So like anyway, this is I was just I'm just showing my music because I want to show my music. But the point that I started off with was basically it's so easy to make music for me, but making games is so hard. But like I have so many songs, why don't I make a game with them? That's I like why am I just sitting on songs? Like it doesn't make sense that I can make a song in a day and it takes like 5 years to make the game for it. Like how is that possible? So I think what I want to try a couple things. One is I want to take some of this music and just make a game out of it. It doesn't matter if it's the original idea for the game. This was for a 2D like Metroid like cave story like shooter, like a little, side scrolling, jump and run game that I was making with Abby Tenjin, and it looked pretty good. I might actually be able to run it. Let me see. Let's see if I can still have it. Where is it at? It probably won't work actually because it might be using Resolve still. But let me take a look. Um, I don't know if I do. I know I can find it, but I don't quite remember where it is. Let me see. Okay, well here's where it would be. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this is not gonna work. Let me see here. Old stuff. Yeah, no way this is gonna work. I might be able to fix it though. Let's see, slice. Let me see if I can get this together real quick. I would be shocked if this... Oh, hold on. All right, I'm back. And I might get another phone call in the near future, but that's not quite important. Well, I mean, it will be important when I get the call. But anyway, my voice, my face and voice were gone. Yeah, I was on the phone. Apologies. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna try just updating this real quick so you can kind of see what it looked like. Just because I want to show what it looks like. Let's see here. Oh, I see. Yeah, there's a difference in the way that this was done previously. No idea if this is gonna actually work, but if not, that's fine. I see. Oh, okay. Let's see, shape. We are already setting that. Yep. Ah, dude, what? Ain't no way I'm doing all this. I thought things changed. I was like, I feel like things changed dramatically more. That's next time. I'm gonna do that another time, some other time. I'll show you the assets though. I'll show you the assets. I can do that much. Hold on. Let me just. Where's OBS at? There it is. Hold up. Merely one moment while I pull up a sprite. Yes, this was the dude. This was the guy. He's like a jelly man. He's like a jelly spaceman. And the idea hold up, let me where's oh, view, yeah. View, you don't have to show me the slices, yeah. The idea is that he's like this jelly spaceman and he has this little, you know, gun. He's essentially like the idea was that Earth like got destroyed and so all the humans are like gone. But he's like working for kind of like an intergalactic zoo and he's looking for the last human essentially because he's like, oh, they're gonna pay big bucks if I can find the last human on Earth. And so you're going through like, you know, the destroyed remnants of Earth as you look for as you look for he's like, as you look for like the, you know, leftover humans. So like this is like some kind of weird alien or like shambling like remnant of a memory of a human. This is, yeah, I mean, like I came up with, well, I guess I never did anything with this, but yeah, there was content here, brother. I don't know. I was like just mocking up enemies. I had tiles that were like actually kind of dope, actually kind of not bad, not too bad, not too bad. So anyway, this was cool. This was a cool idea. I like the idea. I like the concept, and I think that it really looked pretty solid, pretty interesting in execution. Let me see. Is there any way I can visualize this? There might be. Let me see if I can pull up LDTK. But yeah, I would like to make something. I would like to make a game in as short a time as I make music. Like, why does it have to take a million years to make a game? Why can't it be much faster? And so yeah, I wanna try it. I wanna see if I can. Excuse me. Unusual. Let me see. Starting itch, but it just says finalizing installation, so I'm gonna wait, I guess, and see how it. Oh, there it goes. It finally finished. Let's see if I have. Yep. Can I launch it? Okay, LDTK, fantastic. Whoa. Let's see if I can load. Here we go. Yeah, this is what it looked like in practice. Yeah, so the potential is there. It feels like it kind of goes a little hard. it kind of looks actually pretty dang good for what it is. Little test area. Yeah, I actually do like the way that this looks in retrospect. Yeah, so I'm like, why can't I just make a game? So I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try making a game. Now, what I wanted to also try is something else. I don't know if I'll be able to do it on this stream, but I wanted to try this concept, and I'll see if I can get bring out master plan for this. I wanted to try this concept where basically, what if I was to what if I was to pass off fast food as my own cooking? Delightfully devilish, Seymour. No. What if I was to pass off? What if I was to basically alternate between creation and resolution? Because I was thinking, okay, when it comes to creative works, I struggle with them, and I feel like maybe I struggle with them because I lack structure, and maybe I struggle with them because I get stuck on one element. I feel like I do really well if I have a technical task, like if I'm making a framework or making a adding to a framework where the bounds, the constraints are well defined. Even if the things that fill the constraints are not well defined, I tend to do well in them. Like this light volume system, I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted it. I knew what I wanted. And so I'm like, okay, I want something that allows me to basically mimic, dynamic light in a vertex-based 3D renderer, vertex color-based 3D renderer. So I want some shadows, I want some lights, and that's going to involve essentially a three-dimensional space, a volume, and AABB volume as an example, with cells in it. And then I just color the cells, and then I color the vertices of things being lit in the volume using the data in those cells. So I didn't really have a super strong idea of how to do it, but I was able to do this in a few days, and it looks really good. It works really well. I think it looks fantastic and works really well for what this is, right? So it's like, well, how am I able to do that? But when it comes to making a game, I struggle, dude. Huge struggle, big struggle. And I think that when something that I do naturally in coding is you try something, And then if there's a bug, you fix it. And then if there's performance issues, you refine it. And then you refine the API. And then you add features, and then you refine those new features, and then you say, well, what would be missing? Well, I'm missing this. Let me add this, but I can't add this without refining other features. So you're kind of alternating between creation of new features or creation of the API or fundamental concept, and then you're refining it, and you just kind of like hack away at it. But games, it's very easy to get stuck in one, because they're so big. I feel like it's easy for me to get stuck in one portion of it, whereas like I'm in create mode, I'm creating content for the game, and then I kind of like might burn out a little bit, or I might be in like refine mode where I'm, you know, maybe fixing bugs and stuff like that, but I don't feel like I'm making significant progress, or I have no idea of what to do for creation. So I, instead of creating, because I don't have any idea of what to do, I refine. And so I just keep refining, and so I don't make progress. And so I kind of feel like I get stuck in one or two of these modes, because the bounds of the game are so big. But I can complete tasks. Like clearly, if I can make a 3D renderer from scratch, you know, over the course of years, I can make a game. Like if I can do this, I can definitely make a game. So then how do I do that? So I'm thinking that essentially what I want to try is making a pair of timers, and I alternate between those two timers. I create for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, and then I refine for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour. And I just alternate between these two. So I create, then I refine. I create, then I refine. And I think that that might be good, because that allows me to kind of be like, okay, I'm in the create mode, so I'm going to block out this level. I'm just blocking it out. I'm not refining it. Then I am in refine mode. I'm now refining the level. And then once that's done, that's one pass. And then I can say, okay, now I can create more of the level if I'm missing, if it's not done, or I can create another level if it is done, or whatever, right? But like giving my brain bounds to work with might be what I need. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that with this concept that I had. The game was basically, you know, with this, when I was playing around with this, or you know, getting this up and running, I was like, oh, it would be kind of cool if you had a 3D platformer. It kind of worked like Kirby or Mario Odyssey, where you can steal, you're like capturing enemies and using them as your weapons or as your health. So you have like you're an alien that, let's say, can only take one hit, but when you scan an enemy, you are able to transform into that enemy, but only once. So it's like an item in your inventory. And maybe, you know, if you don't die with that enemy, then you can transform into him again. But essentially, you can transform into this enemy, and you have very simple controls. You know, maybe each enemy can jump, but apart from that, they might have one or two different moves. Just very simple. Something like Kirby, but simpler than Kirby. Maybe like old school Kirby, where each power only did one thing, as opposed to new school Kirby, where powers generally have, like, you know, there's a couple of powers that do more things, where it's like, oh yeah, you can uppercut with this weapon, or you can like grab enemies and throw them in different directions, you know. Rather than that, it's relatively simple, much more constrained. And so the goal is to basically get to the end of the game, or get to the end of each level with either a certain number of enemies captured, like scanned, or a certain variety. It's probably better to be a certain variety of enemies. So it's kind of like a collectathon, where the goal is to collect the enemy scans, because you're like this alien that's like trying to capture scans before the end of like the universe. And so you're like trying to scan each enemy in this level and do that across all the levels, and then that's how you get 100%. But much like most collectathons, you don't have to get 100% to beat the game. But to get the true ending, you would need to get 100% of all the aliens, and, you know, all of that. So your goal is to kind of maybe like, it's kind of also something like Space Station Silicon Valley for the Nintendo 64. Very deep cut, very specific. I'm pretty sure I actually had that game. Yeah, your goal is to capture these monsters, aliens, characters, scan them, and then you can use them to traverse this level to get to other characters on your way to the goal. and your goal is basically to capture as many as you can to leave the level. Relatively simple, not too complicated, because anything that you can do with the, like, generally it's the stuff that you can do, the stuff that the enemies would be doing against you are also just the same things you would be doing against them. There wouldn't be a lot of like additional controls. It's a very simple 3D game where it's like you can move, you can jump, you can attack, and some other attack, and that might be it. So that's an idea. And so now I'm thinking about it, I feel like that's not too complicated. And I also see some cool ideas where if you're an alien and you don't have really any strong attack, the game kind of becomes, a game of trying to both, like, you could have levels where it's packed to the brim with enemies and stuff to scan. You can have enemies or things to scan that don't give you any ability. So they're just like intentionally weak enemies, or maybe even items. So you scan them and then you can turn into them, but you can't really do anything because the goal isn't to have a powerful item on your side, a powerful enemy. It's to scan everything. So you kind of have this dichotomy where it's like, well, I need to scan this thing, this enemy, let's say, but it's a very useless enemy, but the goal is just to scan it. It's just to basically scan it and take it to the end of the game. So or maybe you even have limited scans, so you can't scan everything all the time. So you kind of, that's like your lives in a sense, or your health. So you're kind of balancing, like, which enemies do I scan? Do I scan the enemies that are strongest? That would be the obvious thing to do, but I can't just scan them because I have limited scans, and I need to scan the weakest enemies to carry them to the end of the game, or not the end of the game, into the level. So you're like, okay, I gotta scan this weak enemy, and I gotta scan this weak enemy, and then I have to scan this one strong enemy, and I have to make this strong enemy carry me through the game, through the level. So now you have this kind of interesting, again, dichotomy of like, which enemies do I scan and when do I scan them? Because combat utility is different from their value, because I need to scan everybody, but I have limited scans. So I feel like that could be cool. So now going back, I could say, okay, well, you're controlling an alien that has no inherent power of his own, no inherent weapon. So now you could have kind of like a stealth thing where it's like, I can't, like, let's say scanning an enemy takes 4 seconds. You don't want to be out in the open when you scan an enemy. So you could have a level that's based around you kind of like finding the one enemy that's by himself to scan, so that you can get a body to better deal with the rest of the enemies, right? Because if there's an arena with 4 enemies facing each other and you go and try to scan one of them, the others will attack you. So you're like trying to like, it's like a stealth, like you can have a stealth level like that. So there's a lot of variety I'm already coming up with just based off of this one concept. It feels very doable. It feels like it would be fun. It feels like it could have a lot of fun characters, or a space for character design, and really interesting levels. Some could be indoors, some could be outdoors. This feels it feels like it could be a lot of fun. It feels like it would be also doable, and it would give me space for this kind of a game as well. This kind of a space to try out like this light volume system. So I'm gonna try that. I think that it's doable and it would be fun to see and fun to play. And also not a game that we see a lot of. We don't see a lot of collectathon platformers. There's a resurgence, but there's still not a lot of them. But at the same time, this is not your traditional collectathon platformer. It is a kind of like a survival horror game, like, because you have limited resources, and you have to like choose, like make strategic decisions of like, what are you going to get? What are you going to scan? When are you going to scan it? How do you get there? So it's kind of like a platformer where the stars are like enemies. Like the stars are the enemies, and their positioning, like the goal isn't necessarily even codified explicitly, like in Mario 64 or Mario Odyssey, where it's like, oh, you need to do this. It's like you just need to get to the enemy. How you get there is kind of up to you, or it may not be explicitly told to you. So you might have to do something. You might have to solve a puzzle. You might have to flip a switch. You might have to beat an enemy. You might have to traverse a space. And so it's like, okay, well, for traversing a space, maybe I need a monkey to like wall jump, or maybe I need some kind of like bird or something to like float across the gap. But for like, being an enemy, maybe I need more like of a combat power type enemy to like defeat an enemy to open a gate. Or maybe for solving certain puzzles, I need certain enemies that have certain abilities to like move objects from a distance, or see like invisible structures. There's a lot you can do with this concept, and I feel like it would be hype. And I feel like it wouldn't be too much. I feel like there's room for it to be a big game, but it doesn't have to be a big game. And I think that is maybe the best kind of game for me. The game that I at least can make is a game that has very strong bounds. And really, those are kind of the games that I like to play. Even though I keep trying to make Yume Nikki like, walk around and talk to enemies, talk to people games. That small adventure game I've been working on. What was the other one? Of course, I Know Who I Am, right? I've tried, this kind of concept a couple of other times in addition. I like the concept, but I feel like the kinds of games I play are usually games that have strong boundaries, right? They're level based, or they are, the goal is specific. So maybe I need to make games. Maybe I need to be more. Maybe I should try making more specific games, because that might be something that it is easier for me to imagine, because maybe I just like to play them more. I don't know, but I can try it. So I'm gonna write some stuff down. I'm not gonna do it here. I'm not gonna start making the game right now, because I do not have time. I've been streaming for a couple hours almost already. So I'm gonna. Well, I mean, it couldn't hurt. No, I'm not gonna start. I don't think. Let me just do this. So this is gonna be 3D collectathon platformer. That's fine for now. So you play an alien with limited combat capability. Your goal is to scan all life forms in a galaxy scheduled for destruction. Limited scans. Per level. Okay, so you have limited scans per level. Some enemies and life forms are weak, have no value. Scanning takes time. Can only be done in your weak form. Ooh, okay, so scanning enemies takes time. So if you are fighting, like if you're and it can only be done in your weak form. So you can't scan enemies from your strong form, from any strong forms. You have to revert into a weak form to scan enemies. So then it really is just like a 2-button game. You have jump, or 3-button. You have jump, you have attack, and you have sub-attack. In your weak form, the attack or sub-attack button is your scan. Maybe you don't even have an attack. Maybe it's just you just can scan and that's it. So that's interesting. So now let's come up with some life forms. Okay, so this is a bird. It can glide. Okay, so we have a basic concept here. Let me save this also before I forget. Okay. Yeah, okay. So let's this is interesting. So this is a monkey. So the monkey can walls jump. The bird can glide. The mind man can, he can maybe pull things toward him. What's it called? What's it called? What's the power? Not telepathy. It's not telepathy. That's knowing things or reading minds. Tele psionic. What's it called? Psi-man might be better. Mind man kind of works. I can't think of Teletubby. What is the word I'm thinking of? Where you can like grab things with your mind. It is, you have the power of telekinesis. Telekinesis. And then his second ability, we won't. I don't know. Let's just say he only can do that. Gladiator. Ability 1. He can slash with his sword. Ability 2, he can block. Okay, what else? We want to probably have, like, let's say, because we have to actually make all these guys. Let's just say we start off with tin. Let's say we start off with tin, because then you could have some basic enemies, and then you could have some, yeah, maybe some like low value stuff. Let's see. So for the low value life forms, let's say it is a human. Civilian. Ability 1 in A, ability 2 in A. Human. Let's see. I'm thinking human. What? What if it was just a one button game? Because I'm thinking like, do I really need two buttons? Most of these things. Yeah, most of these powers are just one ability. So maybe just one thing. So I'm like, okay, well, like the Mind Man, being able to grab objects and throw them is alone like a pretty good, yeah, a pretty good ability. Like being able to fast fall to crush cages or break things would be a good ability. Being able to attack and block, but maybe we could just make it one button, like tapping attacks and then holding blocks. I guess I'm wondering, like, do we need a second ability? What's if we have another button for a second ability? We need to give each character multiple abilities that use the button. and I don't want it to be too like weird. I want it to be pretty traditional, a traditional 3D platformer, nothing like super duper odd. Let's see. Let's come up with another guy. Oh, like a flamethrower guy. Maybe. What else? Oops. I love that. That's so cool. I love that. Being able to, can I? Ooh, you're telling me that works, brother? You're kidding me. That's so cool. I didn't know that this works so well, bro. This. Oh, that doesn't work. All right, I gotta fix that. That's unfortunate. It doesn't grab the. It doesn't get stapled to the right note. But yeah, that's cool. Okay, so our life forms, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's try to come up with a few more. So let's think about more. What's another low value slime? Uh. Oh wait, what if passive was attract? Oh, that was interesting. Yeah. What if the gold stat? What if the humans have no inherent ability of their own, but the gold statue can attract humans to them, to it? So like basically, if you're within a certain range, humans will walk toward you, and so you could use that on like large buttons that need to be triggered by a certain number of humans. It's like, oh, I can like scan the gold statue and then like traverse up to this thing and then go on the other side and then turn into the gold statue, and then the humans walk to this button and they trigger the button and that allows you to leave. It's an interesting concept. I like that. So there's some like puzzle abilities here. Let's see. I want to make also wolf. Oh, the monkey can't glide. Oh, maybe the monkey can glide. Yeah, let's give that to the monkey. I like that actually. So then you have the bird that can fly, and then you can switch the monkey and glide. Yeah, I like that. So the monkey wall jumps up and then glides to somewhere and then turns into a bird where you can fly to give, like, you can combine these two to give yourself a little bit more physical movement options. Interesting. Interesting. I'm coming up with some concepts here. I kind of like what I'm thinking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, we already have a few. Let's come up with another one. Eyeball. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15. So we have 14 so far. It'd be cool to be able to. Yeah, I should make it so that when you select cards, something shows how many cards you have selected. Like maybe next to the mouse cursor. Okay, so we already have a few enemies, a few characters. Let's make 1 or 2 more enemies, and maybe 1 low value life form. Let's see. Hmm. Hmm. Oh yeah, enemy. Hmm. Maybe. Okay. This is an idea. This is an idea. So it's interesting that there's some overlap here. Like Snake Man can detect things. Like he can detect heat. Like I feel like Snake Man and Dog kind of have some like synergy. Bird and Monkey have synergy. Eyeball and maybe Miss Turret have synergy. Like being able to see things invisible objects, or see things that are, or maybe the turret and the snake person does, because like if you see, for example, that a wall is fake, maybe one of these two can do that, and then you could blow it up with one of these two. This and this combined with the human. Yeah, like there's some concepts. Telekinesis, huh? Mind man. Telekinesis. Grab objects with mind.
That's fine. You know what? No, I want a different theme.
I think the concept here is pretty solid.
Let's see. It's so humans have no functionality. Like they're just, they don't do anything. I like that concept, and you have to like combine them with other things to like get them to do stuff. I kind of want something that just has no value whatsoever. Trash. How about trash? Oh, this is tripping. Okay. Wait a second. Yeah, I think it would be cool to be. I just had this thought where I'm like, wait, it would be cool if I could like double tap left shift or triple tap it or something, or caps lock, and like cycle through the capitalization options for this text. Where it's like, okay, first letter's capitalized, all the first letter of this entire block is capitalized, just the first letter of, well, just the first letter of all words, all letters are capitalized, or all letters are lowercase. So you can be like, doop, 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 doop. That would just be cool. You know what? I'm gonna implement that. I like that idea. Let me see if I can do this. So overall, it should be pretty simple. I'm gonna close this. Close this. Close this. Close this. We don't need it right now. Okay.
So here's the concept. We are going to go to. Wait a second. Okay.
Oh, I don't call them shortcuts, do I? I call them something else. Yeah, they're called, what are they called? Keybinds. Okay, here we go.
It would be cool to be able to double tap something, but since I don't want to implement that specific Add to selection. Well, maybe I could do like a, let me see, trigger mode hold. Trigger mode press. Let's see the trigger mode. Okay, maybe I could do a double tap. We could try this. Let's see. Double press. Well, how would I even make that happen? Well, let's not worry about that right now. Let's not get caught up on stuff that is not that important. Let's just say cycling caps can be done with control and R. That's fine. It doesn't matter. Okay. So we don't need to. Okay, so what we want to do is label.selection. So we have a start, we have an end. So basically we just want to say for C and range label.selection. Really? Okay, I'm kind of shocked. I thought that there would be... Really? Okay, that's shocking. I mean, there's a couple things that are really odd about the way I do this. Yeah, just really strange. Okay, so... Oh, selected cares is already... Oh no, that's... I'm just making it right now. Start, label that, selection, end. Okay. All right, so let's just try this. Selected. All right, so let's see how this works. I think it was Control R, right? Okay, here's our runes. Okay, cool. So let's see, caps, strings, runes. I thought there was something to cycle caps. Let's see, going. Title method. Right, okay. Special. So we have uppercase, title case, lowercase. Okay, so we can work with this. So our overall text is this. We can convert it to a string. And then we want to say basically out is text dot. I guess we want to detect to see what kind of text it currently is. So we have 4 types. So it is title all. I mean, we could do this a couple different ways, but we'll do it like this for clarity. Is title all? Is title words? Is lowercase? And is upper? Yes. Okay. So Okay, so we want to first detect to see what we're working with. So what we can do is cycle between upper and lowercase first. If it's uppercase, well, yeah, I guess, yeah. If it's uppercase and you press it, it goes to lowercase. If it's lowercase and you press it, it goes to uppercase. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. There's two possibilities. If the length of the text is greater than 1, then we can cycle between all of these. If it's 1, then we basically can just cycle between uppercase and lowercase. So we'll start with that. So if it's equal to 1, then we basically say is uppercase equals text 0, string text 0, strings to upper. What's this? Is equal to first here. Is lowercase to lower. Okay. So let's start off with this. It is uppercase. Label dot insert runes at index rune text strings to lower. All right, so okay, so this is the first test. So we have a note as a single letter. If we select it and we press Control R, it should okay, it doesn't quite do that. Let's see. So I guess we want to do start actually. I guess this doesn't delete. Yeah, we want to delete the selected characters. Okay, let's try that. Okay. Not bad, not bad. Let's see. But our selection should not change. So label that selection. All right, cool. So it should stay selected. Let's try that. So we have a letter. Slice bounds out of range. Selected characters. Let me try this again real quick. I want to see something. All right, that does work. That does not. Okay. Let's see. This does not work here. I mean, it's. Oh, that's what I meant by hold. Okay, hold on. Yeah. Okay. That works. This does. Huh? Oh, really? Let's see. Hold up. Is this just a matter of this being... That works? Really? Okay. I guess I just don't... I'm not sanity checking this. Okay. Where do I use selected? Oh, I just made it. Delete cares. Okay. That's what I need to do. All right, so cool. So now if we have more than one letter, then we can kind of mess around with some stuff. So we can get into some stuff. All right, so if it's uppercase, yeah, if it's, or rather, if the text is more than one character in it, then we can kind of do some stuff. And I guess this would actually be if we're stripping it. Yeah, trim space. If we're trimming the space and it's just one character, then we can. Oh, although this is from the leading and trailing. Oh, hold on. Whoops. I turn off the music. So I think what I need to do... This is a little tough because I want to see basically if we're dealing with one character to properly cycle through the others. I guess this is fine, although the thing that's kind of... I mean, I guess, well, it's something like this that works, but something like that, it doesn't do anything. But you'll see. So it would cycle between uppercase, lowercase, title case. I guess it would just be this, right? Then we don't need the first character. That might actually be better. Let's see that. Cool. Yeah, all right, that works. Okay. So now if you have more than a single character, now we're engaging with some other concepts. This is the same. Okay, so if let's try this. Title case, move it to uppercase. Oh, is it not title case? Let's see. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not title case. Let's see. Well, I guess I could just say else. It doesn't have to specifically be title case. So let's try this, yeah, where we're just cycling through these different possibilities. So lowercase, you press it, it goes to title case. Okay. So it was uppercase. So here it's not lowercase. Or no, it is lowercase. I feel like I'm on the right track, but yeah, it's, let me take a look here. Okay, so note, right? Okay, so note, okay. So yeah, all right. So then is uppercase goes to lower, is lowercase goes to title. With all Unicode letters mapped to their Unicode title case. Oh, well then I thought, okay. Well then, yeah, that's not going to do what I thought it would do. Let's see, strings not to title, special. Ah, I see. So you have different, let's see. To upper special. Okay. All right, so here's what we're going to do. If for this we want to make the first letter capitalized. So we say, okay, if I is equal to 0 or text I minus 1, whites is space. Let me see. Okay, it's under the Unicode. Okay. So then, let's see if it's okay. Well, then we say text I equals. You can't address it. Oh. Mod I equals rune. We want to capitalize it. Strings to upper. I guess this is already a rune. Oh, it's a byte. Okay. All right. So I think that this is what we want to do. It's uppercase. Let's see, it's uppercase. So uppercase, make it lowercase. If it's lowercase, make it title up. Make it this. And if it's this already, then we make it upper. All right, so that should basically cycle us through the three, most likely situations. Correction, it does not do that. Let's see. Oh, and then, label, we gotta insert it back. There we go. Very cool. So I can be like, oh, I want it to be capitalized. Beautiful. Can I do per paragraph? Maybe. Maybe I could do per paragraph. How would that work? Is uppercase, is lowercase. We would have to be able to detect new lines, and if so, basically if it has new lines, then we can check to see if it's like multiple paragraphs. Or maybe we just want to know if it's after a period. Or yeah, maybe just after a period. Or it's multiple sentences. So we could do first letter capitalized. First letter capitalized of each word. First letter capitalized of each word. That might be enough for now. Maybe first letter capitalized of each sentence. Sentence case would be good. Well, maybe this is fine for now. Let's not make it overly complex. Hmm. Let me go to the to-do list. I want to make it so that when you highlight text like this, you double click to highlight text. I would like to be able to hold the mouse button and drag to just select words without having to be so specific. Whoa. Rare crash. Hmm. I'm raising a card that I'm then raising, huh? Raise the card. Hold up. I think what's going on is I'm add. Raising the card. The pin cards are being raised. Okay. Like, this is creating an infinite loop, but how? Like, what? What happened to this being pinned? Huh, okay. This is... I thought that I tested this. This is weird. Did something change? Let's see. Okay, well, I know what I'm going to be working on today. How odd. It definitely was working previously, and now it's not. Okay. So what I'm going to do... Yeah, what I'm going to do... I'm going to end the stream here, and I'm going to work on this off stream right about now-ish. Yeah, weird that this is happening. But hey, this is an opportunity for me to get this, make another update. I'll probably just make an update just for this little capitalization thing and maybe this double-clicking issue. Yeah, because yeah, I should work like this. Anyway, So yeah, I'm excited about the future. I'm gonna see what I can do. Maybe I'll just go back to working on that adventure game. Um, but even if I don't, a lot of the stuff I made for that I'm going to use for this game. And I'm gonna use basically all of it. The action system, NPC stuff, if there's any like interaction with NPCs. Um, of course, all of Tetra 3D, all of the physics stuff, the JavaScript stuff, that entire like logic system is going to be built in The game is going to be, built in Abit Engine, built in Golang, built with Tetra 3D, but using JavaScript, like the small adventure game I was working on. Like, I'm going to use almost all of the stuff that makes the game, that made that game what it was. I'm going to use probably in this 3D adventure game. I feel like I could do it too. I feel like we don't see games like that much, and it also feels very doable. It feels very like there's a ton of things I could do, and I can easily come up with like 20 levels. It's not hard to come up with levels for this concept, because there's so much room for different concepts, puzzles and combat and stuff. Very, very, very simple stuff, but still very doable. All right, well, anyway, I'm going to call it here. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you guys on the flip side soon, and I'm going to make this update for Master Plan in the next day or so, probably today or tomorrow. Anyway, thanks. I'll catch you guys later. See ya.